Kurdistan he fought, a bedridden devil. His army of clones at his jaw did they revel. They came after us, crossed the borderline, took all our offers to send down their mines, while the feathered beast read out Dear Bob. So cried the trekker, this madness must stop. Toss a coin to your trekker, oh planet of plenty, oh planet of plenty, oh. Toss a coin to your trekker, oh planet of plenty. The vile Kurogans fled and hid what they had stole. The orphan was shackled and kept in the cold. But he did not relent. The Turd King was hell-bent. He slayed the Kurogans, then to Bird's house he went. And with a mighty blow he struck that button red. The mighty bird folded in two by his bed. That's my epic tale, our champion prevailed. So let's drink a toast with some Romulan ale. Toss a coin to your trekker, oh planet of plenty, oh planet of plenty, oh. Toss a coin to your trekker, oh planet of plenty, oh planet of plenty, oh. Toss a coin to your trekker, oh planet of plenty, oh planet of plenty, oh. Toss a coin to your trekker, the great Kurdistan.
Making your way with the nerds today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from Hey J sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to just get laid? Sometimes you wanna go where all the Trekkies know your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be in a galaxy where Star Trek isn't lame. You wanna go where everybody knows your name. Turds of a feather flock together, that's what we believe. We know a place that's got you covered, a place to get relief. Wouldn't you like to say me poo? Sometimes you wanna go where Turnistenes know your name, and all Kurogans are to blame. You wanna be where you can see Kuroga go up in flames. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
Hey guys, Michael J. Crawford, the Anti-Checker here. And for those of you that had not heard that song before, I will tell you that we are currently working on a new opening credit sequence for the live streams. That will, of course, be the new official Anti-Checker theme song. And actually, we'll probably play that on the Rational Roundtable as well. All the credit in the world goes to two of our fellow nerds in this community. The lyrics were written by Aberjam UK, and the music was arranged and performed and sang by Piano Dean. Holy crap, those guys are freaking incredible. And so Yeah, all the credit goes to them. I just realized, yeah, Auntie is downstairs asleep, so there will not be an Auntie cam for this live stream. For me, it is currently about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I just finished watching episode 1, Remembrance. And so let me start out by cracking open, as promised, my Romulan ale, which is definitely appropriate given the context of what we're talking about with Picard. There was definitely a heavy Romulan presence. And so, Jolan True, everyone. Oh, that is good. That is good. 2283, I believe. All right, so I'll read a little bit of the chat, and then I'll just get right into my opinion of Remembrance. Thomas was first, says hi, and gives it a 6 out of 10. Cinnabon says hello. Thomas says maybe 6.5. Cinnabon says 6 out of 10 for me, too. Argano says we'll watch later. Mike Richards says greetings from Columbus, Ohio. Surf Trek Chonics gave it an 8 out of 10. Thomas says you might get a lot of hate Friday night. I don't doubt that. Darth Revan says, holy poop stains, crap, man. This is late for you. It's near 9 a.m. Ireland time, so about 4 a.m. for you. Actually, it's about 3 for me right now. It's 4 a.m. In the Eastern time zone. So, like for Bird of Prey, if he's up right now, it'll be 4 a.m. Rambling Canuck says hi. Thomas says, perfect timing ending your stream. Oh, I didn't even know Cinnabon was streaming. I'm sorry. Revan says, share it on Discord and member unmute. Not sure what you mean. Surf says, hobbits don't need much sleep. Okay. Mike Ridger's smiling. Chrono says, no freaking way. Cinnamon says, yes freaking way. I assume about the song. Sci-Fi Nation says, greetings, Antichecker and fellow nerds. Chrono says, son of a bitch. Sci-Fi Nation says, cheers. Mike says, outstanding. This channel is morphing into MTV of the 80s. Good, whatever you are having over the pond. Checker in chat. Sci-Fi Nation says, I missed the son of a bitch intro. Sorry. You don't like that song? Come on, that song is freaking awesome. Thomas says, new opening credits. I'm Thomas Potts. Yeah, we'll get it right this time, maybe. War Criminal Michael J. Crawford, hail. Kuroga says, Sci-Fi Nation. Kronos says, this is late. Cracking what, says Kronos. And Salute says Manuel. Spartan says, as soon as Gary started his opinion on the show, I immediately thought, I can't wait to see what Auntie says. I have no idea what Gary thought. I assume by Gary you mean Nerdrotic. I'm sure he's probably streaming right now. I'm sure that several people are. And I genuinely have no idea how he is going to react to this. I think that a couple of things are predictable. I think that people are going to call it. There's a couple of moments in the show that were kind of cringeworthy. And I think some of the Phantom Menace are going to zero in on those moments, which I'll get into in just a minute. Antigrass Romulan Nail, indeed I do, Sci-Fi Nation. Jolan Tweeny, Sci-Fi Nation says, if Anti-Tracker gets hate over this, then I will also. Where is Bird of Prey? I assume he's asleep. KT313 says, uh-oh, he's got Romulan Nail. Please tell me it wasn't that bad. We'll get into that in just a minute. Roma says, I'm a jerk. Surf says, great song. Indeed, the best nerd song ever. And Piano Dean, we just played your Cheers rendition, which me and Joshua are working on the visuals for. And by the way, if you have Cheers, the song starts with a live action shot that then goes to a drawing. And I'm doing the same thing. And that live action shot is going to be painful for some of you to see. I shared the link on Discord to let everyone know you're not dead yet. How are you feeling? Hope you're continuing to get better. Thank you, Darth Revan. As far as my knee, well, it still hurts like a mofo. Actually, the knee doesn't hurt so bad. It's the arthritis now that's really just getting me. Bird sang your new song. That's painful. Greetings. Started watching, fell asleep, but watching this. Well, good to see you, Piano Dean. And if you need to get some sleep, man, I understand. I mean, it's 4 o'clock in the morning for you. Get some sleep if you need to. You can always watch this later. I'm going to do a regular review of this episode, which I'm going to start working on immediately after finishing this live stream. This is not going to be a marathon long live stream. I'm just going to talk about my opinions of Remembrance a little bit, read a little bit of your guys' chat, and call it a morning. So, Picard has now premiered. And gut reaction, if someone pointed a gun at me and said, give it a number out of 10, I'm going to probably say it would fall right around a 7. I actually thought it was surprisingly good. Now, there are a couple of problems. And the funny thing, and Thomas puts a $1.99 says, people need to realize it's only episode 1. That is very true, and that's the thing. This show could definitely go south or north very quickly. With what they've set up in episode 1, this show could be a complete disaster or could be an absolute triumph. And number 19, you got it, my friend.
Presenting the newest incarnation of the Joker.
What are you talking about? That's not the Joker. That's just some guy.
Oh, right. Sorry. This is the new incarnation of the Joker.
Oh, great. That is just
McDonald's disembodied head!
So, here's the thing. The cringeworthy scene that I think that some people this is the scene that people are going to focus on if they hate Picard. And that is when Picard was being interviewed by a member of the Federation News Network. There's a scene where he's on at Chateau Picard, and he apparently has not seen the press since he resigned from Starfleet. And so this reporter starts pushing him about basically, even though they say ahead of time that Picard had already gave terms to the press that they were not to ask him about his leaving Starfleet, they of course asked him about his leaving Starfleet and pushed and pushed and pushed. And what they did there is clearly that's where the on the nose Trumpism thing was. That's the only scene where it was really on the nose. This is an allegory for Trump, because they were talking about the destruction of Romulus. And by the way, they seem to have retconned the supernova a little bit in that it was in fact the Romulan star that went supernova. It wasn't some supernova that's going to wipe out the entire galaxy. But which is fine. That makes more sense, so I'm okay with that. But but she was basically pushing him about how what happened and when Starfleet decided to abandon attempting to rescue all the Romulans because of the synth attack on Mars. So apparently the synth attack on Mars was happening at the same time that the Armada was attempting to rescue Romulans. And so Picard said basically that, well, we couldn't just abandon all those lives. And she's like, Romulan lives. So basically you get this very distinct vibe in that scene that Romulans are kind of a stand-in for how liberals, Hollywood liberals, I should say, feel the Trump administration feels about Mexicans. And that they basically are just, they don't matter, they're substandard. And this FNN reporter was totally on board with that. She was totally cool with degrading Romulan life to being meaningless. And I had a big problem with that scene. I did not believe that reporter for a second. I thought that that doesn't make a lot of sense in the Star Trek universe. Now, that being said, I also find this rather ironic for people that are going to be doing the whole comparison. And whether or not they're a left-leaning individual that is like celebrating, them bringing immigration into Star Trek or something, or whether they're a member of the Phantom Menace who is incensed by it. And this is such a Star Trek, a Star Trek mistake that it's almost laughable. I mean, I would almost have to think that it is actually intentional, because I seriously, it's one of those things where it's a trope that's happened in Trek, but it's happening for real here. And for example, one great example of that was Ilea from Star Trek The Motion Picture. The idea that if you try to copy something a little too well, then you can copy certain aspects that show exploitable traits and stuff. And they did that in their attempt to blast on Trump. They accidentally, and I don't know if this was intentional in the show, but holy crap, if it is, the writers may have pulled a fast one on Kurtzman. They accidentally showed the hubris and arrogance of liberalism in a beautiful, poetic way, to the point where the people that made the show probably don't even realize that they did it. I was absolutely blown away, and some of you are probably thinking Anti-Trekker is up way too late and he's drank a little too much Romulan ale. But I'm gonna, for those of you that watch the show, Romulans in this are the new Mexicans, right? They're looked down upon. They're looked at as being substandard because that's the liberal mentality of what Trump thinks of Mexicans. And guess what? Picard has 2 Romulan servants living in his house. Picard is a part of the problem himself. They actually have Picard with 2 Romulan servants basically taking care of his every need. And I thought that was absolutely brilliant, in that I think that they probably don't even realize the absolute hypocrisy of having those Romulan servants in his house. I know Thomas put Romulan slaves in the chat. I absolutely love that because I think that was unintentional. I think they were trying to show how compassionate Picard is by taking in these Romulans, but that is exactly the kind of compassion that far left people put on Mexicans in the United States, which puts Mexicans in virtual slave situations. So that is, in fact, ridiculously accurate. I love that. I absolutely love that fact. Now, the basic gist of it is some of the rumors I've heard have been true, some not so much. But basically, the girl is in fact, in not a direct sense, but in a way, a child of Data. That she does indeed have a twin sister. That although one thing that I really have a problem with that they said in this, and I think that that this is going to be a problem, and is that in the scene where they try to assassinate her, when she's with Picard, at one point she jumps, oh gosh, I don't know, 150 feet, which if that were Data doing that, nobody would blink. But the thing is that while she apparently has and Bird of Prey's talked about this on his streams, while apparently she has a positronic brain, her body is just human. So there is no way in hell she could have done that. There is absolutely no way she could have done that. That was a glaring inconsistency. As soon as I saw her jump, I was like, no, she is not a freaking android. And so there is no way she pulled that maneuver. And so I don't understand why they were that short-sighted with it, but they were. So So the basic gist is Picard is an old man who's depressed over the fact that Starfleet did not follow through on the rescue of Romulans because of a terrorist attack on Mars. That, in fact, Mars, at the time of Picard, even though it's 10 years later, is literally still on fire. That synths have been banned, and Picard is pissed off about the ban. Now, that's another little bit of an issue I have here. Is the synths being banned by Starfleet is, I think, a somewhat reasonable reaction to a group of synths committing a terrorist act. I didn't really have a problem with that. However, the problem I have is that Picard is incensed by it. Picard should have been incensed by the existence of the synths in the first place. But apparently he was totally okay with these synths existing. He just got upset when they were banned. And I did not understand that at all. I really, that part I kind of was confused by. Because why was Jean-Luc Picard be in favor of the manufacture of a subservient class of people? Because that's what the synths would invariably end up being. And they even talk about that in Measure of a Man. But again, this is like one of those things that it could be that they just copied the truth just a little too good for their own good. Is that goes back to the hubris and arrogance of this far left mentality that Picard has. This is the same guy who thinks that he's helping Romulans by having a couple of Romulan slaves, right? This is the same ultra left mentality, and so it's really interesting to me. I think that there's a lot of potential for this show. Granted, they are definitely going with the slow burn. I don't think that we're going to have all the answers anytime soon. But I'm very interested in the journey. It's definitely well made, well shot, well directed. I would say significantly better than Star Trek Discovery in terms of raw production value. My biggest problem, though, as far as the actual set design and that kind of thing, is that while we do get a couple of nice throwbacks to classic Star Trek stuff, including, by the way, a brief, and Bird of Prey puts a couple of bucks in. First episode, 9 out of 10. Wow, Bird gives it a 9 out of 10. He's even more generous than me. I'm shocked. But thank you, Bird. I do appreciate the couple of bucks. We do get a nice glimpse of a Sovereign class starship, a Constellation class starship, and a Galaxy class starship. We actually do see all of them, but only in archives. We don't see them for real. And we do, and that, although the first shot of the episode is actually the Enterprise D, which was kind of cool to see. Yes, it was a dream sequence. Everybody figured that out long ago, but it was really cool to see the Enterprise D. I'm hoping that we see some more Federation starships, but we don't actually see any Federation starships outside of that, except for a brief glimpse of that stupid tug at Utopia Planitia, which is still a Discovery era ship. And why they would show us that, I still don't know. So I'm still concerned about that, and I'm very concerned about the fact that apparently the Federation exclusively uses Discovery era shuttles. Like, all of a sudden, what happened to the shuttles? They had to go to these 150-year-old shuttles. What is wrong with Starfleet? Why are they using this antiquated and, in fact, even archaic tech? And Thomas is sending me something because, yeah, Thomas doesn't care about the fact that I'm live streaming right now. So Marlena wants to know, how is Daz? She was actually, I actually liked her. I thought she was an interesting character. And you know, it's going to be interesting to see how the quest unfolds. Yes, this is, oh, that's a clip from the trailer after the episode. I didn't catch that. So that's a starship there, but it kind of looks like a blend between TNG and Discovery era ship, but we'll see. Thank you, Thomas. But in the episode, we didn't see any starships, but we did see Discovery shuttles everywhere. And I genuinely don't understand that. All right, so now with that, that's my general opinion. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it. A couple of cringe moments drug it down, but I think overall it was really good. But let's see what you guys had to say. Darth Revan says he keeps saying she's stunning and brave, and then the chat jumped on me. Wow. Let's see. She keeps saying she's stunning and brave, and as a woman and the bestest ever. Gave it a 6 out of 10. I said by he, I don't know who you mean. Said it's not like Trek. It's made for normies. Okay. Shomer says listening on headphones at work, so won't be in the chat much. Thank you, Shomer. I appreciate it, but welcome. Sci-Fi says, I saved a half pint outside a fifth to watch the Picard show. Been on live streams all night. Very cool. There's Thomas's $2. Thank you, Thomas. How about a next week live reaction to Picard? I don't know what my work schedule is going to be next week, so I genuinely do not know if I'm going to be able to pull that off or not. Sci-Fi Nation says our good friend Cinnamon Bunny only gave it a 6. Yeah, I think Thomas gave it like a 6.5. So Shomer says with 7 it probably makes one of the best Trek premieres. So better than Encounter at Farpoint. Yeah, I would say it was better than Encounter at Farpoint. I would say it was not as good as Broken Bow or Emissary, but it was definitely better than Encounter at Farpoint. Sci-Fi Nation says, nice catch, Andy Trigger. Big difference between progressives and SJW tinfoil wearing left. Yeah, there is. And I want to make sure that I'm not... I don't want anybody to think that when I say these liberals in the Trek universe, that I'm not talking about your average everyday liberal. I have great friends that are average everyday liberals, and they are not Batwoman crazy like Kurtzman and these guys. The funny thing is, though, is that they kind of expose themselves by accident. Spartan Jeremy says, I suppose I played Star Trek Online. I should ask, does it give the feeling that the destruction of Romulus crippled the Empire? Yes. The Romulans are in a bad way. Wow, you're streaming late or early. Well, that's because Picard just premiered. That's why I'm up this late. People are asking the guy from that UK show who looks like Joshua to play the next Doctor. I would, yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name. He was in the IT crowd. Love him. I think he would make a great Doctor. But they need to get the writing better. What did you think that image of a certain TNG character people were worried about during her interview? What did you think of the image of a certain TNG character people were worried about during her interview? I'm not sure what you're being a little too vague for me. Oh yeah, I will say there was the very brief, like just a few frames long of flashbacks. Are you talking about like, because during the FNN interview, they said, Jean-Luc Picard was captain of the Federation flagship Enterprise, which sounded weird to put it that way. But they showed pictures of Picard from TNG, but they also showed pictures of his crew, including Worf, and they did not turn Worf into a Klingork, at least in that picture. And Midnight Edge says the 4chan leaks were real, not impressed. Of course you weren't. And that's why I don't do leaks. OFFS, drop the comparisons already, Anti-Checker. The comparisons, why? Chronos says, wow. There's no such thing as too much Romulan ale. It's only a matter of if you give up before you finish. Thomas yells, Picard has Romulan slaves, indeed. And Midnight Edge says, you notice that too, if you're talking about the Romulans. Yes, indeed. Midnight Sci-Fi saying the Midnight's Edge and me, sometimes a show is just a show. That is true. But the thing is that before this came out, there was much talk about this whole Trump allegory thing, because that was the intended attitude of Kurtzman and everything, and I think they blew it. I really do. I think that they accidentally, in trying to depict how evil Trump is, they accidentally showed some of the problems with their own agenda. Darth Aaron says, I get shouted at because I said I refuse to hate a boner for Picard, and they said it's not Trek, and so me and my Discord friend have to secret watch so they don't rip apart when we're there. That's stupid. Here's the thing. Like, I know that I may disagree with Tom from Midnight's Edge here, but so what? We disagree on it. He gave it a 5 out of 10. I gave it a 7 out of 10, which isn't really a huge discrepancy. He said, I said, I liked it, but I'm not like going gaga saying it's the best thing ever. But I did enjoy it. Midnight says 4chan leaks are real so far. They go beyond the first episode. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. You know what? That's the thing. You dig into these leaks, and if you decide that it's stupid ahead of time, then no matter what they show you on the show, you're going to say it's stupid. And so that's why I don't care about these leaks. I really don't. Sci-Fi Nation says, I've been saying it was Maddox all along, but oh no. Well, I think that's, I don't know if it's the same Maddox, because here's the weird thing about it being Maddox. If this Maddox is the same Maddox that was trying to get his hands on data in Measure of a Man, why the hell didn't Picard recognize his name? Kronos says, are you still blathering? Indeed, I am, Kronos. And Bird of Prey says, hey, y'all. Yes, that's right. Bird of Prey is here. Mako says, this was a fantastic episode. I hope they continue with this kind of quality the rest of the season. I think the quality was definitely there. Like I said, I have a couple of things to be concerned about, but I will reserve judgment until they show me, Revan says, remember the jump for episode 1 of Orville when she jumped from the door to the shuttle and never seen again? Not sure what that has to do with it. Thomas says, if only they could borrow those 4K shuttles in the Star Trek Discovery, and those 4,000 shuttles that Discovery Enterprise has. Yeah, indeed. Oh boy, Anti-Checker rant. I'm not really ranting. This is more of, it's a fun rant. Red Prey says, I think Picard has a hand in creating the synths. I think it was okay with them being created because they were being used to build ships to save Romulans. But you see, here's the problem with that. And that is, you may be right, Bird, but there's a problem with that. That means Picard is basically saying the ends justify the means. So it's okay to build a race of slaves in order to help another group of people. So you're basically that you can commit absolute atrocity in order to and it's justified because you're trying to help the poor downtrodden Mexican/Romulans. What did you think of the opening credits? I thought they were interesting. The shattered effect was an interesting idea, but definitely better than Discovery's opening credits, but it wasn't great. Midnight's Edge says 5 out of 10. Sci-Fi says 6 or 7 at least, but not 9. I think Bird is a little more generous than me. It'll be interesting to see how our discussion on Friday Night Tights goes. What about the trailer? This is not your house anymore, Picard, says the Republican to the liberal. Well, like I said, that line from if you're talking about what about that line from the trailers before, that line was not in this episode, but I think that's probably coming in episode 2. Just based on the pacing of everything, I think that's coming in episode 2. Sci-Fi Nation, obviously based on the Ares class. Yeah, it looks like it, but that's, Midnight said Marlena asks, oh, no Mary Sue. Well, not really. It's, I'll tell you that, yes and no. She's very Summer Glau. Put it to you that way. She is very Summer Glau. but she also dies. So it's not like, oh, okay. Guess she's not indestructible, that's for sure. So Darth Revan says, Stewart said he wants to be raised up to a duke and is kissing royal ass so hard his lips will fall off. He said he'd love Meghan Markle and Prince Harry on Picard. They would be a great fit. Okay, I don't know about that, but yeah. Thomas says, Andrew, I rarely say this, but I'm heading home from work. Have a good day. All right, Thomas, you take it easy, my friend. Free Auntie. Why are you saying free Auntie? Auntie it's freaking 3 o'clock in the morning. Auntie is asleep. So yeah. Let's see. Captain MKG on a scale of 1 to 10 for the episode, and the same scale for how it impacts on canon. Well, I said a 7 out of 10 for the episode. As far as its impact on canon, very little. There's one retcon. The retcon being that the supernova that took out the Romulans was not a supernova that was going to take out the whole galaxy. It was, in fact, the Romulan star that went nova. That was a minor retcon. As far as any other canonical violations, honestly, didn't really have any. In fact, the data in the drawer was, in fact, as many of us suspected, not data. And so they didn't have a canonical problem there. They also did a good job explaining what the ultimate fate of B4 was. So overall, not a lot of canonical problems, but that's actually an advantage to moving forward in time. Still waiting to see a frickin' starship, so we'll see where they go with that. Let's see. Yeah, it's expensive. That's all I'll say about the quality. Well, I actually think it was well shot. I think that the cinematographer did a good job. I think that it was a well-made show overall. I do think that it needs to feel a little more like Trek, but I'm hoping once they get into space, we'll get into that. Why didn't Picard recognize the Maddox name? Probably because the writers know nothing about TNG aside from a few name drops. But here's the problem with that, Spartan. If they know enough to explain that she is, or that Maddox is the guy that was trying to perfect, positronic androids as for mass production, why wouldn't they also know that Picard is the one that stopped him from doing so? And if Picard was fighting Maddox to prevent them from mass producing Datas to be a servant class before, why is he okay with it now? And so there's a couple of problems there, and I want to see those problems dealt with, and it'll be interesting. But the thing is that I'm not angry about the problem unless they deal with it in a very piss poor way. What do you think Picard will die? Do you think that Picard will die in this series and not even season? And do you think he had a family after Nemesis? No, I don't think he had a family after Nemesis. He has his Romulan slaves, but that's about it. And no, I don't think that they're going to kill him. Marlena says, so how's the pacing? I thought the pacing, it was deliberate. It was not badly paced. It was definitely not briskly paced. It was paced like a streaming service show. So I think that it was paced well enough. I didn't think, oh, this is dragging on, nor did I think, whoa, this is a roller coaster. I just thought, okay, I'm enjoying this story. Sci-Fi Nation says, I have so many clips of DJ Odyssey in the unicorn suit to upload. Would love to collab with you on that. Well, I don't know what you're going to do with it other than, DJ in a unicorn suit. Do you ever joke to Mrs. Anti-Trekker after you finish work and go down, hey, honey, sorry I'm late, traffic was murder? I've never said that, no. Berta Prey says, I don't think they retconned the size of the supernova. Sure they did. Picard specifically said that was it the reporter or Picard that said when the Romulan sun went nova? And in Star Trek 2009, it was not the Romulan sun that went nova. It was the supernova was in a distant system that was going to wipe out the entire galaxy, which was stupid, but that's what they did. You are popular in the very early night or morning. Not sure what means. Midnight's Edge says, you said earlier it felt like a lot of you said earlier that it felt like a lot of reshoots though, which it did. I didn't say that. I didn't say it felt like there were a lot of reshoots. I felt like in fact I don't see where you got that from. In the Picard Countdown comics, it's still a massive supernova. Well, I'm just going by what they actually say in the interview. Thanks for your input. I guess, as Bird of Prey put it, Earth Trek. Well, here's the thing. I wouldn't call it Earth Trek just yet. I think that it does make sense, given Picard's past, that we're going to start out with him on his vineyard with his Romulan slaves, and then we'll get to it. That Star Wars girl is angry. Uh-oh, watch out. That Star Wars girl is here and angry. I'm going to try to be quiet. Don't make her mad. You don't want to make that Star Wars girl angry. Did you see DJ's unicorn outfit? Yes, a couple of people sent me pictures of it. Chrono said, did you see DJ's outfit? Did you crap yourself? I did not crap myself, but I did see the outfit. It's definitely unique. And so that Star Wars girl, so you say you're angry. You're so very angry. So what specifically made you angry? I'm curious. Maybe that was Gary, LOL, watching YouTube back to back here. Sorry if you didn't say that. Yeah, I didn't say that. I didn't see it feeling like there was a lot of reshoots. There may well have been, but I didn't feel like it. I felt like I still maintain that the premise of the show, which I was against from the beginning because I think Patrick Stewart is too old, and I still think he's too old, but for what it is, I think they did the best they could with it. I have a link for DJ Odyssey to wear a peacock suit. Jeez. We got a third of the way. There was one night tonight. They're in one night tonight. That's scary. I hear they cloned Data. Not exactly. The sort of, kind of, yes and no. They basically use, and cloning is kind of a strong term considering you're talking about a mechanical reproduction, but yeah, they recreate Data's positronic brain by getting a fragment of it somehow, which they haven't really explained that part yet. The show seemed to mock fake Hollywood leftist wokeness, a la when Ricky Gervais said at the Golden Globes. I wonder if it's Shaban's doing. I don't know. I felt that was really, like the whole thing with Picard having Romulan slaves. I was really surprised that they would leave that in there if they were, unless the problem is that these Hollywood woke crowds, they are so full of themselves that they don't see the problem. They said the Romulan star because no one would understand the Hobus star. Maybe so, but you know what? It still makes more sense. And so I'm going to take it as that's a retcon in my book. I don't think the leaks matter. I don't buy the argument because it's no different than me thinking it was Picard's daughter and it was Data's instead. Woohoo. Okay. I didn't think it was anybody's daughter. With trailers from the early ones to the latest, it's like they reshot stuff until they made the final product. With trailers from early ones to the latest, the changes in the trailers? Well, the early trailer, that almost every shot in the early trailer is in the episode except for him actually carrying the case of Chateau Picard. In fact, even the blurry shot of him looking up at the camera is in the episode. So everything that's in the earliest trailer is in this. Marvin will be angry too. His homeworld got bombed to hell. Yes, I'm so very angry. Captain NKG says they are probably relying on Picard's artificial heart to keep him moving and grooving. Good. You know, they haven't talked about his artificial heart. I don't know if that's going to come into it or not. Mr. Miles is in the house, says, yo, Jeremy says, putting a positronic brain in an organic body is still dumb. Well, here's the thing. I think that dumb is a strong word. I don't agree, because if that's the case, then you're going to say Terminator was dumb? Same thing. You put an artificial, I mean, granted, they put a metal skeleton in the Terminator 2, but, you know, why could you not grow a humanoid body for a positronic brain? If you had the ability to make the positronic brain, that makes perfect sense. If a positronic brain is capable of processing everything a human brain is. However, you know, is there a reason for it? That's what I'm curious about. You know, aside from the fact that they really wanted to get a sentient synthetic, although the funny thing is that so all the other synths were not sentient. I think they got it from B4 because he says it was all but lost in so many words. You think they got the positronic material from B4? No, they made it very clear that was not possible. B4 was a failure, and they couldn't use. In fact, they said they couldn't use B4. They had B4, and so and so lore is a possibility, but B4 is definitely not. However, we don't see lore, so yeah. What are you drinking? Romulan ale. Entrig is hitting that Romulan ale kind of hard for actually liking this Picard episode. Well, I'm actually, you know, I'm just enjoying, I'm not drinking that much, but I'm just enjoying a little Romulan ale late at night, as I then have to, after finishing this live stream, I have to then work on my actual review. In the shooting script to start in the motion picture, the film would have begun in deep space. The camera would focus in on a white star. An unknown star system, suddenly going supernova. After pausing briefly, is written the celestial event. The camera move in, searching for V'ger. I have no idea why you're saying that, Dan, because that has nothing to do with Picard. Lore was killed, well ended. I don't remember. Was Lore actually killed, or was Lore... Because I'm trying to remember, did Lore appear after Descent Part 2? Because in Descent Part 2, they simply deactivated him and took him apart. And so there's no reason that he wouldn't be in a drawer somewhere at Starfleet Command. Nyla says, if they couldn't use B4 and they didn't use Lore, then how the heck did they get Data's pieces? He was ground zero to reactor, which incinerated the scimitar. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. That's something they're going to have to explain. Because not only was he a ground zero of a reactor explosion that incinerated the scimitar, but don't forget that entire section of space was then hit by a supernova. So yeah, I don't know how they got a piece of Data. So that is one of those things. It's a loose end right now. It's something they're going to have to explain before the end of this season. And but I'm not going to judge the lack of having all the information now. That's a mystery that's set up for the season, and either the explanation is going to be lame, good, or they're going to ignore it. If it's lame or they ignore it, then that's a detriment. Yeah, she said they all but lost. She said they all but lost in so many worlds that his data was almost lost and wouldn't take to B4. So I think they got the latest bit before it was lost. I don't think so, because the problem is they did make it clear that they couldn't have used B4's positronic neuron, or whatever they call it. Yeah, the positronic neuron to create the twins. They specifically said they would have to have at least one neuron from Data, not from B4. Dana says, I just mentioning different types of supernovas in Trek. Okay. Laura's put in a drawer at the end of Descent. I can Netflix if I'm wrong. I don't remember exactly what they did with them, but like I said, they could theoretically, Lore was every bit as functional as Data, so they could have used him, which I think that could be kind of creepy. As if that would actually be kind of cool to me, as if we find out, like, the big reveal at the end is that she's actually Lore's daughter and a psycho. That would actually be kind of cool. If Picard has action scenes, they'll probably say he's stronger than an average elderly man because he has Borg parts. Actually, no, there is an action sequence in this in which basically it's like, Picard, get down! Okay. That's about it. And in fact, they go running up a flight of stairs and Picard has to stop. She said that before she saw the necklace, though, so I don't know, you're probably right. She was being coy before that. Yeah, she thought that she had human parents. Can we talk about Data's painting? Could he have had a prophetic vision of his daughter? Why would it? Well, first of all, it would make sense if Data basically could extrapolate in his positronic brain, if he was to create a female version of himself, what it would look like, and that's her. So it may not be prophetic as much as a logical extrapolation. And again, that's another thing that I would hope that they will explain later on. That's one of those things that they need to uncover. In Star Trek Online, the area space in Nemesis is still flooded with radiation from the explosion of the weapon. Well, where the Borg cube is, they call it a Romulan Reclamation Center. So that could still be the case. Midnight Sun shows, no, I mean the blonde chick. Oh, yeah, the blonde chick was being coy before she saw the necklace, and then she realized Picard was serious. Leaving the stream 6 hours ahead and working. Thanks for the spoilers. I do not mind, by the way, by Anti-Trekker and Chat. Later, Yosef. Have a good one, my friend. And I'm actually going to wrap it up as well. Wow, I got 95 people here. I almost feel bad, but if I don't wrap it up, I won't get an actual review done. So I am going to stop here and actually record a review. I do, and so thank you guys for hanging out with me. I'm blown away that there's so many of you. But yeah, I think that it's a decent start. Is it, a triumph? No. But it's not bad. So there is that. Mexican Iron Man says, your point about the unintentional hypocrisy is intergalactic accurate by drawing a parallel with Mexican and Romulans vis-a-vis the far left hypocrisy. Excellent observations. Thank you, Mexican Iron Man. I appreciate that. And, you're my favorite Mexican Iron Man. And so, despite what they did on Picard, I don't think you're a second-class Iron Man. And I wouldn't want you as my slave. Well, actually, you'd probably make a good slave, but, because you got the Iron Man armor, so you could, clean up without too much effort. So, yeah. Wow, that was just wrong. I just can't play this song. Wait. We can't. We gotta do this the right way here.
Making your way with the nerds today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from hating JJ sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to just get laid? Sometimes you wanna go where all the Trekkies know your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be in a galaxy where Star Trek isn't lame. You wanna go where everybody knows your name. Turn birds of a feather flock together, that's what we believe. We know a place that's got you covered, a place to get relief. Wouldn't you like to say me poo? Sometimes you wanna go where turn to steadies know your name, and all Kurogans are to blame. You wanna be where you can see Kuroga go up in flames. You wanna go.
You son of a bitch, anti-tracker!